And you're probably thinking, whose voice is this? Should be a recognisable voice, guys. It is me, Amit.
Good morning, Amit. Good to see you.
Hi, Amit.
Morning,
Hi,
Jack. How are
Jalf.
you?
Good morning, Dan. How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you.
And Dan, introduce yourself.
Dan Newton, Customer Experience Director at the SME Centre of Excellence here in Ponteland in the middle of the universe. And also a very avid promoter, protector and developer of the ABC events side of things, which we are hopefully going to focus a lot on today, and really excited about it.
Excellent.
So, Jaff, tell us a little bit about show business. What do you look to do on the show?
You know what? I'm trying to think when show business started. It's over a decade ago. Obviously, it started after we set up ABC, and it was just an amazing platform to be able to continue what we were trying to do with ABC in terms of just be a bit informative, try to give as much information to local businesses and try to have a collaboration with local businesses, and support as many local businesses as possible. So this was an amazing platform to continue the work that we were doing, which was essentially via the network events, which would be on a monthly basis, and there would be an annual dinner. So this gave us a really special platform to be able to highlight what was going on a weekly basis. And you have to give all credit to Amar, because if it wasn't for Amar's persistence, I don't think that we would have done it for as long as we have done it. So we've obviously done it ongoing for a very, very long period of time, and it's rare that we've actually missed shows over the last decade or so. So yeah, it's been going on for a very long time, and hopefully, we've given as much knowledge as we can, and as much foresight as we can over the years. And hopefully some businesses may have benefited a little, and if they have, then that's kind of been all worth it.
Well, they certainly would have, because I remember during COVID and lockdown, show business was doing a daily show because everything in the business world was changing on a daily basis. Even by the morning, the afternoon stuff would change. So we were doing a daily, or you guys were doing a daily show during COVID to inform businesses out there what's happening in a language that they can understand as well. Because sometimes what gets announced.
Yeah. at those moments, yeah, of course. I think obviously there's things like COVID where the language sometimes may not be done in layman's terms. The budgets as well, when they kind of talk, we have to kind of, we have to cut it into something that we can understand, that's more meaningful to us. So yeah, and there's obviously that cultural benefit as well, that we can understand certain things that we would do culturally, and try and work on those things in terms of given that understanding from key kind of announcements made by the government.
So anyway, today we're here to talk about the awards. So the ABC Awards Dinner 2022 taking place next Thursday evening at the Grand Hotel. Some tickets still available, so if you want any, give the office a call, and we might be able to squeeze you in. But Dan, tell us a little bit more about the awards.
So this is my baptism of fire, you may say, because unfortunately for me, I joined the organisation shortly after the last awards, but having done that and joining at that time, it was kind of in the tidal wave of the post-event things that were going on last year, which included finalists, smaller events, get together, which I think was hosted at the Vermont in Newcastle, And I got to meet a lot of the finalists and the winners of the awards from last year, and spoke to them at various curry clubs, through the year. Got to know them a bit, and yeah, just super excited from doing all of that, and obviously then in the build up to this year's awards, really kind of understanding people's stories. I think has been a key aspect of the stuff that has been going on, and the reason why we give out these awards, and the good work that is being done through communities and businesses within our region and further afield. So it's been a really enlightening, revealing process for me, if you like, in terms of the stuff that's going on. And within that, there's also the communication with people who are partnering with us for the event, which has been really great. Sponsoring and looking at those different partners that we've got, which are fantastic partners. And always, I think, at the middle of it, Amit, is really that sense of for everybody that attends and everybody that knows about it, it's a real celebration at this point in the year, and I think that's a real tribute to the ABC organization and the good that it does across the region. So it's been really, really exciting, fantastic, and probably going to get a little bit stressful going into next week because we've got the whole build up towards it. But it's certainly going to keep me out of trouble, and I'm really looking forward to attending this year and meeting more fantastic people.
So today on the show, we're doing something quite special, aren't we? So we're actually doing the finalist reveal. So we've not revealed the finalists yet. They are aware, but we've not actually done any publicity or announced that. So what we thought was take the Spice FM, we take the show business to actually announce the finalists, and then obviously we'll do the whole social media stuff later today. So I think let's start just going through some of the nominations. We're not going to go through all of their backstories, just because we haven't got enough time. But what the plan is, over the coming few weeks, we're going to start inviting some of the finalists and the winners and the sponsors to come on to show business and actually talk through their own stories. But the plan is today, let's just go through the nominations, the finalists, not the nominations. Sorry, we had a lot of nominations. We didn't have time to go through those. So we'll go through the finalists of each category and just talk a little bit about the category, what it's looking to achieve, and the type of people that we've got in that as well. And then the big reveal for the winners will happen next Thursday, unless I accidentally let it slip.
I hope you don't.
Right, okay, so let's have a look at the third sector. So the third sector is there to talk about people that do, and I say, good in the world or in the community in Newcastle. So it's about the charities. It's about not just promoting your own business or your own career, but actually to help others. And we do a lot of that. And actually, the 3-4 years that I've been heavily involved in the awards, reading some of the stories, it's just been amazing to see what work's going out there, what people are doing. So in the third sector, we've got Court and Spice FM. So this was the Pakistan flood appeals. So this was a special appeal programme ran at the Beacon in Newcastle and on Spice FM to raise money for the Pakistan floods. Now, Court is actually Kashmir Orphans Trust. And obviously Spice FM's a radio station. So both came together to do a big radio appeal to try and raise money for the floods that were in Pakistan. And I think on the day, the total was over 15,000 that got raised. But I think subsequently since, there have been a lot more donations come in. And I don't think we, as of yet, have a final number of what was officially received, but it was well over the 25,000. So that was the first one. Second one is Amjad Kazir. He is He's won a whole load of awards, including the Children in Need Award. He's been volunteering all throughout the 2000s in community cohesion in Middlesbrough. He's had the Teesside University Fellowship Award in 2011, Social Enterprise Award in 2013, Community Safety Award in 2018, Beating Racism and Awareness in 2019. So literally just a guy that goes around and raises awareness on a whole raft of matters, and he's been doing that forever, basically. So that is the other nominee in the Third Sector Award.
Excellent.
Some good work there. Really good and exciting to see them. It's a really, really key area that Amit, the third sector. Obviously, we have links and connections with many organisations in that area, and it's really good to see that coming to life this year.
Yeah, it is, and you know what? Last 2 years ago, in that Third Sector Award, it was something that Project Santa won, and that's something that's close to my heart and part of that. And I think these awards just show that there's so much happening in the Northeast, not just on a business level, but also on a third sector level as well.
Yeah.
Dan, who's sponsoring the Third Sector Award?
I think actually we are. The SME Centre of Excellence, I think, is sponsoring that one. So yeah, it's obviously within the sort of umbrella organisation, and we shouldn't forget to mention PI, of course, when we're talking about this. But obviously, SME is a commercial enterprise, and things like PI aren't. But obviously, within this, the award will be presented by the SME Centre of Excellence. So it's a really worthwhile award, and we thoroughly enjoy the fact that we get the chance to promote and push this area, and end up giving it to who rightly deserves it, and who is judged to be the winner on the evening.
Talking about who's judged to be the winner, just to let our listeners know that we do have a panel of judges. It's not and it's not Dan, Jalf, and I going through and seeing who we like. We've actually got independent judges, and we have had for a number of years, who are chosen from the community, and also past winners as well, because obviously if they're a past winner, they feel like they've got to keep the quality of the award. If that logically makes sense, I don't know.
I think it does. It absolutely does, Amit. It's like the governance of the whole thing, right, and the credibility. Yeah.
So we pick previous winners, so last year's winners, who go away, look at the bios, look at the individuals, look at the backstories, and then vote to pick a winner in each category. And actually, other than maybe me, I'm not sure if anybody else knows who those winners are. Yeah, no, they've not been shared. So other than me,
what happens if anything happens to you, Amit?
Well, no. The physical awards will be getting delivered on the Thursday morning. So
I know, but what happens if we lose you between now and the awards? What do we do?
No, you've got the physical award that gets delivered Thursday morning, so you can literally read it off there and work out who won each category.
Right. So you're not indispensable then?
Well, I'm not, but I don't like how this conversation's going down.
Only joking, Amit. Come on.
I'm not going to step out the house or walk down my stairs now.
Be careful.
Just tell me to be careful. Right, okay. Before we go on to the next category, Jalf, talk a little bit about the budget and this mini budget and what the hell is going on with the economy.
Gosh, I mean, it's so difficult because, if I talk about just general local businesses that I'm in touch with, I think those that have survived the pandemic, if you look at it, you have to take your hats off to them, because it was like unprecedented. you know, your businesses kind of fall off the edge of a cliff all of a sudden. And I appreciate that some industries did really, really well out of it, but the majority of the businesses in the country didn't. So that was a big blow. So I think to try and explain what's happening to the budget, you have to understand Brexit, the impact of it, the impact of the pandemic, and all of those things, and how that's all having an impact today. You have the war that's ongoing, so the costs keep on increasing. The economic stability is just seems to be non-existent. So you can only plan short term. You can only plan day to day. If you're looking, let's say, I'm looking at a 3-year growth plan, and in 3 years' time, I'm earmarking to open some more leisure venues. I would be so nervous. I mean, I would maybe scupper those plans today because you don't know what the energy costs are going to be in 3 years' time, and you wouldn't make any substantial investments. So there's all of that uncertainty which is affecting everything. I think the mini budget, the only little things that came out of it was, the corporation tax. They kind of kept that as is instead of taking it up. I can't even remember if they took it down because it was not really that significant. Obviously, there was a whole hoo-ha about the 45% tax bracket, and they were going to take that down, but I think they've gone back on that. So then you had all the other things where the pound just collapsed, and that's kind of making its way back up. So the key thing is that there's that uncertainty, that the budget should, after they've done the budget, all the businesses should feel a sense of relief that, oh God, they've like really fixed things up now. They've assured the economy, they've assured the markets. We're going to have some consistency, we're going to have some stability moving forward for the next 6 months to the next year. But that was not the case. It was a complete reverse. And that's the whole big issue with businesses, that regardless of what you do, your job is, as the Chancellor of the Exchequer, is to give businesses like us, especially over what's happened over the last 3 years or so, give us a bit of stability so that we can focus and get our heads down and do our work to really get the wheels in motion and get the economy going and avoid this recession, which seems to be around the corner. But I just don't feel that business operators around the city, they got that feeling, and around the country got that feeling out of the budget. I don't know how you've interpreted it and how Dan's interpreted it, but that's how I've felt, along with the peers that I've spoke to.
From my point of view, sorry,
go for it.
I just don't feel like either that they've understood what's needed in the economy to help fix the situation that we're in, or if they do, they've not communicated that out correctly. And then the whole 45p tax bracket going, reverting that change, reverting it back, just shows a level of incompetency. Even the sugar tax, getting rid of that sugar tax that was there, no one's been complaining about it for a number of years. Why get rid of it randomly without a justification on the fact that actually it's been detrimental to the economy rather than instrumental in trying to get rid of obesity or X, Y, Z? A lot of manufacturers have changed their recipe to cater for the sugar tax. You see a lot of fizzy drinks now that are all sugar-free because of that, which I think is quite a good thing. Yet we've gone back on something that they've just not been able to justify. And I think as each day passes, I'm losing a bit more confidence in them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you both felt, but you felt that when Rishi was there, you felt like something that, oh, Rishi knows what he's doing. You kind of got a sense of that from Rishi, because when he first came onto the scene and he did that budget in the pandemic, you were like, wow, I mean, who is this kid? Where has he come from? And he's like something special. But I just didn't feel that with is it Kwasi Kwarteng? I just didn't get the same feeling at all.
Yeah, I think with Rishi there was an element of you felt he had the knowledge and the understanding of why he was making those decisions and how it would help. There was a logical flow and thought process, and you felt that confidence in it, irrelevant of the fact that he's Asian or anything like that. I think just his manner of speaking, his justifications, all of that, it doesn't come across in this government at the minute. I don't know what your thoughts are, Dan.
No, I've sort of just been holding back a bit because, sort of, unlike the BBC, I guess we can be somewhat political, if you like, around this. But I fully agree with both of the things that you've both just said. I think Jalf's point about the uncertainty in the sort of in the economic climate that we have is that it ultimately makes everybody feel a bit flat. Like they don't want to spend, they don't want to invest, they don't want to move things forward because of that. It's kind of like that hunkering down feeling of just sort of let's take what we've got and be happy with that. And actually, that isn't the way out of a crisis. We all know that. And I think the second point that you made, Amit, around the current sort of decision making and the adults in the room, so to speak, is that actually they have kind of walked in from nowhere. I mean, all right, they've been in the party, I understand that, but they've kind of walked into an aftermath of a huge pandemic and then into a war, and the experience of dealing with these situations is just coming through as being not there. And I think that's the biggest thing in terms of what you see with the U-turns and the incorrect decision making. And so I feel like we need to go back to the elder statesmen, if you like, in terms of whoever that may be, or the younger statesmen, if they had some good ideas. And I kind of feel like, as much as I don't want to go on about it, Rishi ejecting himself was to make a point, but actually, there was no turning back from him. He couldn't really go back to being the Chancellor then, even though he does have a lot of knowledge and experience of the immediate factors of where we were. So
yeah, do you know what it is? Do you know, like when you get like a new senior manager in a business, and it's show business, so it's a great example.
Yeah,
you get a new senior manager who comes in, and actually what they've got to do within the first 45 days or first 90 days is completely change the structure, change how things work. That's generally what they do. They have a 100-day plan, and they normally shake things up straight away. And it's fine in the corporate and the business world, and because a lot of the time some of those changes might be good, some of them they then revert back because actually it doesn't, they've not fully understood what the business is, what the teams are, etc. This just feels like exactly the same thing. They've came in, they feel like they've got to shake stuff up to show that they're in charge.
Yeah,
they've done that, but they've clearly misunderstood what's going on and what's needed. And now they're making a bit the backtrack, and they've lost the confidence of their staff, their teams, the public to a degree. They've lost the confidence of other departments within their business, so the Bank of England and all of that, who are now coming out and saying we need to do stuff to stabilise the economy because clearly the budget's not. And I just feel like it's someone who's coming to throw their authority around, but has got it totally wrong.
I mean, and that in itself, what you've just said there, I mean, if you think about it, that is just, it's the highest office in the land. You're supposed to have the most intelligent people in the nation doing their job, which has consequences, not just to the 60 million in this country, but wider afield and other investments coming into the country. It's like they call it like a global society these days, but imagine those type of decisions and the impact that it did have. And let's say, for example, at the time when they made that decision, I was in Dubai, and the pound, it was, instead of getting 4.2 dirhams, you were getting 3.8. And all of a sudden you're doing calculations and you're thinking, oh my God, my pound's not worth anything. There's no point buying anything. So the consequences that it has, not just in the UK, but so many other bits around the world, sorry. And how on earth can they get it so wrong? How on earth can I mean, what about the people, the in the offices? They're supposed to be the sharpest brains, and they, it's just mind-boggling that they seem to have done it on the hoof.
Yeah.
And it's not like, writing a budget on the back of a cigarette box, which is what they seem to have done. It's just outrageous. I mean, a little fish and chip shop wouldn't do their business strategy in that way. Never mind the government.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable.
The thing is, though, Jalf, like at the end of the day, whilst we sort of continue with our day-to-day activities and our businesses, and sort of as the country as citizens, and they're messing about up there. I've got a really strong belief in that. As the nation will get through, like, because we always do. It's kind of like we're there to support and to kind of work with each other and to try to push things through. And actually, the human instincts that we've got is actually, let's not hang around for these guys to make more incorrect decisions. We've got to just kind of push on. We've got to get on with it.
Yeah, we have to become self-sufficient and just get on with whatever bad decisions that are made. But it shouldn't have to be the case. But we have no options. We have to get on with it.
Yeah. Amit, talking about business, is there any segues there?
There is, yes. So let's talk about the Independent Award. So the Independent Award is something that I really love, because these are all individuals that have started a business, that are doing it. I'm going to use the word alone. Sometimes it's not alone. Sometimes it's with their partner. Sometimes it's slightly bigger. But these are people who are actually starting out new and starting out to try and build something. So we've got a number of people on this. So let's talk about. So we've got Kamran Ali. So Kamran Ali, he's a hajra specialist. Goes around the country doing a lot of training and doing a lot of hajra in Newcastle and in Scotland as well. We've got Sangeeta Chopra. So she's so Sangeeta's story is amazing as well, like everybody else's. So opened up a shop in Whitley Bay, ran a shop for a number of years in Whitley Bay, and an alternative shop. So it had a lot of the spices, a lot of Indian food, but also did catering as well. So a little cafe kind of shop. Lots of alcohol bottles from different parts of India and different areas, and some local brews as well. Some local beers, etc. Now has moved over to the Royal Keys, so has now got an outlet in Royal Keys, doing really well, and expanded a range to include ethnic clothing and everything. She does a lot of deliveries, and also when it comes to key events or key Asian events like Eid, Diwali, Garva Jat, which was just yesterday, she does special food parcels for delivery or collection, which has the relevant foods that you need for those particular ceremonies or events and stuff. So that is Sangeeta. We've then got the Funky Indian Wali. So this is a catering organisation that does a lot of corporate events. So they've recently did and supported the Indian ladies cricket team, the Indian men's cricket team at Durham. They've done events for the Ambanis, which is the Reliance Group in India, which is one of the biggest companies in India, as well as doing Bollywood celebrities like Anushka Sharma just recently. So a lot of corporate events, a lot of business events, and a lot of high-profile celebrity events as well. And their USP is that they do a slight twist on your standard sandwiches. So it will be standard sandwiches with an Asian twist to it, or it'll be wraps with an Asian twist and stuff. And then their curries and stuff are amazing as well. So that's a Funky Indian. And then we've got Ranjit, Middlesbrough born. owner of Linthorpe Pharmacy, and just being able to provide an amazing service to its constituents in its areas in Middlesbrough and Sunderland. So they are our finalists for the Independent Award.
Excellent. Really interesting.
So Independent Award sponsor partner is Nearby Taxi Group. So Nearby, a really new organisation. I've seen the logo popping up on the side of cabs across the region, and now the biggest operator in Tyne and Wear. They've got over 1,000 drivers, and they're a combination of a number of different taxi organisations that have all got together as one now. And they've got a really fantastic multicultural workforce right across the back office through into the driver workforce, and a great organisation. Really proud to sponsor us and support inclusion and diversity. So fantastic for them, for Nearby Group.
Great. Let's just quickly jump on to the professional award before because I'm trying to think of another question to ask Jalf. I asked about the budget. I might go on to fuel prices and energy prices next, Jalf. So be prepared. But let's go on to the professional award. And again, so the professional award is all about those individuals that maybe don't run a business, well, actually don't run a business, but actually work for an organisation or business in a professional capacity, and actually are really showing what we can do when working for someone as well. So we've got some really, really good candidates here. So we've got Habib Rahman. So a lot of people probably know here in the community. He's a self-starter, and he's worked for a lot of corporate organisations in the banking sector. He's got over 100 clients that he helped through COVID, giving them an extra, I think, about 40 million in total across the businesses to help them survive and come out through the other side of COVID. He's a really good advisor in terms of foreign investment and financial progression in terms of businesses and individuals. So a lot of knowledge and information Javier has got in terms of the finance sector and how to better yourself. And a really, really good advisor as well in terms of understanding what's out there and what an individual can maybe tap into funding wise or financial wise. We've got Manhur has been nominated. He's also won awards in Glasgow and other parts of the country, but is actually, we'll be pleased to know, is a Geordie lad, so born and brought up in Newcastle. Has won many awards in the community across everything. He particularly goes around promoting cultural awareness, social welfare, community work, social injustice, equal opportunity. So a real fighter in their field as well. And also, I suppose the key distinguishing fact here is that they don't have a give up nature. So if they're fighting for a cause, they will fight till the end for that cause. So something absolutely amazing that we've got in this independent award, in this professional award, sorry, for Mano. Who else have we got? We've got Richie Aurora, so again, an ex-presenter from Spice FM, to do a show with me years and years ago. So Rishi, born and brought up in Newcastle, works for an international company as a global accounts manager. He does a lot of hedge funding as well within the business as well. not only has he worked there and actually got himself to a director level, he's actually worked in other businesses, and got to a high enough level where actually he's been nominated and received a lot of other awards as well. He's a really good leader. So he's got the teams that are below him really aspire to be him, but also to do well in their organisation as well. He's really good at making people feel motivated in the workplace. No task is ever too hard for Rishi in his work, and he always approaches things in a positive manner. So that is Rishi. We've got Miriam Ahmed, who is physical and mental coach, and in our community, to try and get people into the mind frame of looking after their health and well-being. It's very hard. It's not a great subject. It's a very taboo subject, Jalf, isn't it, to talk about any kind of mental health, or the fact that you're going to the gym to lose weight. People talk about that they need to lose weight, but it's very stigmatized to a degree in our community, isn't it?
It is, I'm afraid, but I think there is change though at the moment. I think the mental health thing the profile of it has been raised so much. I think, which is a really good thing. The only negative about that, I think, in some instances, when people complain about their mental well-being, I think it's become a bit trendy as well, though, to maybe blame mental health. And there's people that have complained and said, "Oh, I'm really suffering." And actually, all the suffering is a little bit of stress. And I said, "Come on, that's not like, let's not kind of make the smaller things become mental health issues, because they're clearly not." So there's a fine balance, I think. I think I have definitely seen the raising of the profile is a good thing, because at the end of the day, if people are genuinely really, really suffering from the mental health, we have a responsibility as a society, as employers, to try and help them and support them as best that we can. But at the same token, there seems to be especially between the 18 and the 22-year-olds, it seems to be so kind of trendy. A lot more people seem to be suffering from it than what I've ever experienced before.
Jalf, do you think it's definitions and thresholds? And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So, me, you, a few others that we know literally do, I don't know, we hold down ultimately in a week the equivalent of 4 jobs or whatever. So not only do we do a day job, but we've actually got other stuff that we do, and we do a lot more.
Yeah.
And there's other individuals that only work one job, which can be stressful, but they only work one job. Ask them to do anything more, and they get flustered. They're too tired, and that's when their stress level turns into their mental health issues, or that kind of terminology. I'm not saying actual mental health. But I think sometimes it's about the definition. I think there's an element that what I think of when someone tells me that they've got one job and they're absolutely tired and they can't meet me at 6 o'clock to talk about something because they've had a stressful week. I'm like, are you having a laugh? Like, I'm like, I don't finish work till 3 in the morning by the time I've done all my little bits. And you're telling me that you work 9:30 till 5 and you're too tired to meet me at 6. But that could just be their threshold. Whereas actually your threshold, my threshold, Amar's threshold, Dad's threshold can be way, way higher.
I think you're definitely correct on what you've said. I haven't looked at it from that perspective in terms of threshold, but I know exactly where you're coming from. I would say that, do you remember your parents saying that, oh, things were different in the olden days, right? I think that our generation and the new generation, it's different. We've got a lot more, I think we've got a lot more mental strength, and we can do the hard slog on a constant and consistently. We've still got, I think for me, It's still about the hunger that you've got, which is innate, just to come and make it in the world. And I think that hunger is still burning. And if that hunger is there, and regardless of what success you have, but if that hunger is still there, then it means that you will go out and you'll work as a constant, and you're mentally equipped much better. I give an example of a 62 or 63-year-old chef that I have, who's been with us for 20 years. He's not had one day off. He's not called in sick. But then I had him in a staff briefing, and I said, look, let me introduce you to this chef. Compared to all the 18 to 20-year-olds, they've been off and sick on so many occasions. And I just wanted to give an example on how a warrior at the age of 63 has never had a day off. So it is possible. I just wanted to try and inspire them in certain ways. So I think for me, we're hardened, and the youngsters are just a lot softer than what we were built. I think it's just simply comes down to that. And that's the thresholds and everything that you're talking about.
And isn't that exactly the same thing that the generation above us say about us, that actually, and they did have it harder.
Yeah.
My mum, like, fair enough, my dad and all my dad's family were in the UK. So
Yeah.
like 250 people in Newcastle are all related to my dad or whatever. But my mum came over and settled in a family and had nobody else, not a friend, not a family member around her. And I don't know if I could understand that stress level or that threshold at that time to happen. My stress and my threshold is completely different, but I've got that base, I've got the foundation, I've got the comfort blanket of being second, third generation born here. So there's that level of stability and everything. But actually, the next generation have got more of a stability, they've got more of the foundation, they've got more things to take for granted, but they're probably going to have their own struggles. I wouldn't say that I didn't have my struggles compared to my parents. I'd say that there were different struggles, but I would still say that there were struggles. And I'm sure that the next generation would argue that back with us, that, okay, we don't have the same ones you do, where you're torn between two cultures. Your grandparents' parents who are from back home have come over, and the modern UK culture, they're torn between other issues that they need to deal with.
Yeah, I think social media, I think has a big impact on the youngsters that are coming through. Getting towards the age of 18 to 22. I think that has a big impact on their thought process and their mentality, and I think that has a lot to do with the well-being. Because I mean, I'm not on Facebook or anything. I'm not on any social media at all, and I just feel that I don't need it, and I feel much better for it, because there's not something on my head as a constant which I notice that they have to check, is there like no one's liked us today, I feel flat. And I think they go through all of that, and I think I've noticed that everything is like the highs are really, really quick, and they get really, really ecstatic about something really small, and the lows, which is something really small, they get really, really deeply down about them. And I think that fluctuation of highs and lows is really compounded, and I think that affects the mindsets of individuals. I don't know what Dan's thought process is on what we're discussing, but
absolutely, Jalf. I mean, I'm really pleased that you introduced a sort of another dimension to it, because I think to take any one part of a generational facet without looking at what's happening concurrently with technology or whatever else, were we at war, were we at peace, all of these things, were we being rationed? I spoke to Amar in the car yesterday. We were going down to a conference, Tees Valley conference in Middlesbrough at the Riverside Stadium yesterday, and actually we were talking about things on the way back about generational drift, if you like, or the way that the different generations work. And actually, we were discussing this idea, this concept of like, should everybody go through national conscription, to just give them the basics of respect, kind of like timekeeping, sort of self-worth, sort of celebration, camaraderie, to kind of like sort of give everybody the base, as you put it, Amit, in terms of what you were talking about. And people might not like it, but it's almost like the playing fields aren't level, and people aren't. We're not coming from when we were in the war, in the Second World War, and our grandparents or whatever kind of like had come through those times. The generation afterwards, like our parents, they weren't used to being spoilt in any way. They weren't used to being given the luxuries of the youth today, and it was kind of like a different time. And I think the dilution of that over the next couple of generations is kind of giving rise, along with social media, to this new sort of concept of kind of I'm not going to refer to it as they do in and they give it names and stuff like that, but there isn't certainly not that what I want to call it, a backbone really that I see in some of the other generations, if you like.
I know exactly what you're saying, right? And that's down to the grounding that you need, and that used to be given by old school teachers. The real values you need in the world, in life on a day-to-day basis. Honesty and integrity and self-belief and respect. And I just don't think that the kids have taught that at school at all. And I think that's been taken away from the curriculum. And I think that's also been compounded with the genders that school seems to have, where they're confusing one's identity of children growing up. There should be a clear focus, a clear identity based on morality and A, B, C, and D. And none of that is there. And then, at a very, very young age, they're trying to encourage young kids, I don't know what age onwards, to even decide whether you're a boy or a girl. And that should never be allowed to happen at such kids. Look, people should be free to do whatever they wish, but to try and give them that choice when they might want to be Batman or Spider-Man or whatever they may want to be at that young, really tender age, to give them a choice. Oh, do you want to be a boy? Do you want to be a girl? A, B, C, and D. I think it just creates a whole lot of confusion, and then you lose a bit of your soul, you lose a bit of your moral understanding, and I think you add all of those things into the mix. Then you have a society where when we get the kids in at 18, 19 as employers, there's just there's a lot of instability that exists that's out there, and that really needs to be looked at.
I think it's a point well made, Jalf, and I'm sure Amit will probably want to move on with other things, but underlining everything, I want to sort of say as well, it's not necessarily their fault. There's a product of circumstance here where it's just the way that life is. So if you're born in this era, or if you were born 100 years ago, that's not really your choice. And you have to kind of deal with what's on the table in front of you. Likewise, there is some cracking people out there in the workforce, and it's kind of like, some people are really challenging their own generation as well. So it's good to see that.
Absolutely. Right, but we haven't got long, Amit. Do we have a lot more to go through in terms of nominees? And
No, we haven't. So the last one on the professional is Amit Pandit. So my name's Habib Rahman, not Amit Pandit, so it's not me. Amit is the founder of Apt. It's a talent-based solution provider that deals with e-discovery, legal tech, cybersecurity, data privacy markets. It's got a presence in Newcastle, London, and then New York as well. Now, what it is with Amit's born and bred in Newcastle, actually South Shield, but then due to a lack of opportunities in the cyber and recruitment world, moved to London at the end of the 90s. But he's actually returned back to Newcastle and relocated his business head office from London in Newcastle. So he's looked at local talent, and actually anyone who wanted to move from the London office to Newcastle can. He's still got people based down there, but now he's built an office in Newcastle and has taken on local talent. He's also celebrated his 10th anniversary of the business, so he's been going for 10 years. and has expanded in New York, as I mentioned earlier on, in the last couple of years, and also does a lot of contracting work as well. So he can provide you with, or provide businesses with contractors for days, hours, or whatever, if there's just a piece of work that they need doing, rather than actually supplying them full-time staff. So that's Amit on the professional award. So that takes us to the end of the professionals. And then we've really just got one other main category that I want to talk about, and that is the public sector. So these are individuals that work or support in the public sector. And we've got some amazing people. So we've got, and a lot of these are well-known people because, again, they're in the public sector. So I don't need to go on too much about the profile. So we've got Iram Ali, councillor who's also part of the cabinet in Newcastle, born and brought up in the West End, and is a solicitor by trade, but also out there serving the general public and the people. Another councillor is Juna Sethian, who is the councillor for Blakelow. Again, literally out there providing a service to all of her constituents. University, she's a doctor, a PhD, did a postgraduate in Kerala in India, and then is now here and living in Newcastle and made Newcastle her home. We've got Habib Rahman, who was Lord Mayor last year, so a lot of people would know and see him. So you got the Lord Mayor, which is the highest role of a citizen of the city, and he did that role last year. It's a year role, and spent that year promoting the Asian community across different platforms. Born and brought up, well, not born and brought up in Newcastle, so born in Bangladesh, Jalf, I think.
Habib, I think so. I would have thought so.
Yeah.
I remember playing. I mean, he would have been here from a very, very young age because we kind of grew up in the same area, going to the same places, and crossed a lot on playing football in Murray houses and in the backyards and all of those things.
So I remember just quickly diverting Murray House. So my cousin used to go, David. And as a chaperone to my cousin and as the younger nephew or the younger cousin, I was like, I want to go as well. So I used to go.
Which David was that? David from Cantor, David.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Is that your cousin?
Yeah.
Nice man.
So we used to go. So Habib, Ditu, like literally, all of them were like. Yeah. Weirdly enough, my idols as I was growing up, because they were like, used to go to Murray House, acting all cool, playing five-a-side football, and I would just sit on the side watching and completely, And then, last but not least, in that category, in the public sector category, we've got Nitin Shukla, who a lot of you guys would know. He's worked in the public sector for 35 years. He's been part of Gateshead Council, Tyneside Career Service. He's been doing a lot of work with equality standards and a lot of stuff with the police force as well, supporting the police and crime commissioner. So that's Nitin. We will have all of these nominations and bios up on the ABC page in the coming days, so by all means feel free to have a look, and then obviously we've got all of our winners and everything going to be announced next Thursday.
Excellent.
So Dan, for that 1.5 minute that we've got left, do you want to just give out the details?
Well, just to say, it's at the Grand Hotel Gosford Park. That's next Thursday, the 20th of October. It's at 6:30 when it kicks off. with the drinks reception, followed on by all of the grand entertainment, food and awards throughout the evening. There's still a couple of places, not very many left now. If you do want to sort of come along, please check out the website, abconnections.com, and actually give us a ring in the office as well, because then you're more likely to jump the queue and get ahead and kind of secure your place. So yeah, that's just about it. I mean, apart from that, doing some great work for the Pie charity. Obviously, with the raffle, we've had some fantastic contributions. There's going to be a great raffle on the evening with some really great prizes. All of the proceeds of the raffle will go towards the Pie charity, which stands for Primary Inspiration Through Enterprise. It's one of Amal's charities with the trustees of Sir John Hall and et cetera, et cetera. It's a really great charity doing some great work across the region. So fantastic to get support on or before the event.
Amazing.
And last 30 seconds from you, Jalf.
Look, it's going to be those that haven't been to an ABC event. It's definitely worthwhile going. It's been going on for a long time, and they've been getting better and better. I think you're not going to give up everyone that's there, but I've heard that you've got a really amazing host, and probably got some high-profile individuals from around the country that's going to attend. It's probably hosted by yourselves, Amit, is it? Yes.
It's red hot.